Here we go. So Top Gun Maverick, it's facing criticism because it was funded secretly by a Russian fertilizer billionaire. Is that right? A magnate. I love that word. Magnate.
His name is Dmitry Rybolovyev.
We'll just call him Roblox.
But we'll call him Minecraft Robloxyev.
That's
How
his
about
name.
that?
And they're mad because this pro-Ukrainian group, the Ukrainian World, Ukrainian World Congress, is saying that the fact that they didn't disclose the information and the fact that they suddenly decided not to name a villain in the second Top Gun movie means that it's signed that it could be pro-Kremlin propaganda.
They wrote this open letter to Janet Yang, the president of the Academy, saying that the Ukrainian World Congress expresses serious concerns over Russia's influence on the Hollywood film industry. And they believe that Robloxyev's involvement in funding Top Gun Maverick may have influenced the scripts to, it resulted in the Kremlin interfering with the script, basically, to remove negative references about Russia to, in contrast to the first movie, making it a generic villain.
I love the idea of like Vladimir Putin there with like a red Sharpie out, like crossing stuff out and writing notes in the margins.
It's a really far-fetched, dubious idea. I mean, just because there was one person involved in producing this who happened to be a Russian billionaire, that means that he is like working with the Kremlin. I don't really see the connection. Yeah, because they point out that contrary to the original film where Russia is very clearly like named, but that was like post-Cold War. All of our military recruitment went up like 5 gazillion percent afterwards. This is hardly a coincidence. Hollywood must be vigilant and transparent of Russian money being used to further pro-Kremlin censorship.
Dude, there is no country that loves the funny thing about this is like when I think about it, no place on earth makes more Russians villains than American cinema. Like it's always the go-to. Make them Russian. Yeah, you can always make the Russians the bad guys. John Wick, Russians. Like every.
And honestly, maybe it's time to switch it up a little bit.
You can't. It's racist if you switch it up. You can't do that.
No. I mean, a lot of people thought that it was Iran. Because of the planes. It's impossible to know, and it was left ambiguous on purpose.
Yeah, you said they suddenly removed a villain. Did you mean like during the writing process or production they removed it, or suddenly as in from the first one to the second one they just don't have
the
one anymore?
Enemy state is completely nondescript.
I know that, but you used the word suddenly earlier when you were explaining. Did it get removed in the process of creation, or did they never have one?
They can't prove that, but they're claiming.
But also just that that there was a very clear villain in the first one, and then in the second one it's made.
They literally have an idea of like Putin flipping through the Top Gun Maverick script. He licks his finger and pages through it and like crosses out
the real Russian collusion.
The Russian enemy state.
The real Russian
collusion. He changes it in the middle of the process, which they have no proof.
Or even evidence of?
Yeah, nothing.
Will there be our own J6 committee about this?
This is going to be like the years-long deliberation.
We're going to get Tom Cruise on to talk about it.
I guess they could make more British people the villains. Like British people are safe people to make villains too, and they always say whenever British people are villains, they sound cool. So British they don't use like British soldiers as villains, but they'll use an individual British bad guy as a villain, because everything villainous sounds cooler when you say it with a British accent.
Russian artillery, British men.
Yeah. I've been watching. I went down like a tweet on like a Twitter rampage last night about this show CB Strike, which is it's the TV show based off the Robert Galbraith novels from J.K. Rowling, and it's so good. That is Brett recommends for the day, ladies and gentlemen. If you go watch anything, it's on HBO Max. And the 2 leads in this show are magnetic together. And when I talk about like leads that have to have warmth and charisma, the guy has the charisma in this, and the girl has the warmth and the charisma on the show. The actress's name is Holiday Granger. And it could not be more perfectly casted. It is also the second show I've watched in a week with strong redhead representation, which I think is going to become my fighting cause. It's going to be like, for the last year or so, I've been talking about how activism is a bad thing and you should be actively anti-activist. I think I'm going to take up arms for the redheads of society. I think I am going to be the redheaded activist.
It's weirdly regarded as like kind of a disability.
Yeah.
Like because they're such a minority in the world.
And they talk about how they don't have souls, and that's mean. Stop doing that. It's not nice.
I dated a redhead for a long time, and my hair became more red as we were.
You think?
Yeah.
I mean, you do have a bit of an auburn look.
Yeah, it's by design.
Sympathetic hair.
Sympathetic hair.
Well,
color.
don't they say that as you the longer you spend with a person, the more you start to look like one another?
I mean, I would think we were just swapping genes from all the sex.
Yeah, that must be it.
Truly, my hair got more red. Like literally, it was crazy.
I do believe that's a thing. Yeah.
So like
This Russian guy, this investor, he's actually really interesting.
Art collector.
He said he went through the most expensive divorce in history.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, in 2014, I was just reading about
his
that.
net worth is $6.6 billion, and his divorce is said to have almost costed him $4.5 billion.
Take that. What's his name from Amazon? Take.
Yeah. So I just wanted to like make it clear he wasn't even that involved in the funding of Top Gun Maverick, but he also, was one of the investors in Mission Impossible sequels, Coming to America, and like other movies like that. But like it was only found out that he was involved in funding Top Gun Maverick earlier this year because he was invested in this smaller production company called New Republic that signed a $200 million deal with Paramount, which produced Top Gun Maverick. So it's really not even that direct of a connection. It seems like it's a very tenuous connection that the Ukrainian World Congress is drawing here.
I would also love to point like it's the very easiest thing to point out. Like if we're going to talk about like foreign influence on film, we could talk about China
They're
all
the ones
day.
trying to wield it, by the way.
Absolutely.
Like the Ukrainian World Congress is trying to collude more than this Russian investor ever tried to.
Who is that? Maybe what they want is, maybe what they're mad about is like they want to get a Ghost of Kiev movie made, and this guy won't fund it because he's Russian. Like that's what they want. Remember the Ghost of Kiev?
That is definitely going to be made.
Oh yeah,
even
though it wasn't true. Like they're like it doesn't matter if it wasn't true. It's gonna like based on a supposedly true story.
Right.
The Ghost of Kiev, and that like they don't even have to come up with a better name. You can just call it Ghost of Kiev. Be great. So what was it about the art? It was like $53 million in art or something like that.
He sold, back in 2014, he sold a Da Vinci piece for like hundreds of millions of dollars more than the asking price, which smells like money laundering.
So that's how you make that. So you can get Top Gun Maverick made.
As a Russian investor,
Also,
it's a necessary evil.
Does it say something about America that it took a Russian investment to get a pro-America movie made?
Right. Yeah. I mean, clearly that country has more of a spirit of patriotism and not so much self-restraint and self-flagellation about it.
Like Tom Cruise went to plenty of American investors, I'm sure, and they're like, whoa. I don't know about all this. Like
I think they do have faith in Tom Cruise as a leading man.
They're like, yeah, the male doesn't look like a big doofus, and there is no strong, independent woman that saves the day. How can we expect this to make any money? And then he points out that those movies never make money anyway. And they're like, hey.
I just looked into it. It turns out the Ukrainian World Congress is actually a charity. It's a non-profit. So it's not the Ukrainian government.
Yeah,
I mean, they
not
may
any
be related.
governmental
President
body.
Paul M. Grod is the guy's name, or Grod.
I mean,
Okay.
it only came out that this Russian investor was involved because of a dispute in between the financiers of the movie.
Yep.
And it had nothing to do with, like, usually I wouldn't think that producers at that level are involved at all in the creative process.
I mean, that depends. Like some of them, I mean, at the very least, some of them have very specific ideas about what they want out of these movies because they know they want to make their money back. So they will wield strong, like exclusive power over a lot of these films. It depends on how many financiers are on a project.
He didn't have exclusive power over it, and he was the only Russian investor involved.
Wonder if he's worried about that
knowledge.
Remember that lawsuit that was going forward about the lady suing it over like the rights to the story because her husband wrote the original Top Gun article?
Yeah, so there's got to be some development with that, but I haven't seen anything else on it.
So, but beyond that, like to me, nobody's calling out Chinese investment in films. Like, I'm not seeing any of that. Like, and there's way more money from Chinese production companies being funneled into Hollywood than there is Russian, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's just not as politically advantageous for Westerners to point that out.
No, because I was pointing out yesterday, like, between Tencent Pictures, the Hawaii Brothers, there's like 3 or 4 of them that are like big ones where if you go to enough movies, you start to notice the names at the beginning of these films. Like, you'll notice the same production companies. Like,
but do those films serve China's political interests in any noticeable way? Generally,
like in Moonfall, like including the Mandarin nanny, yeah, I do think at the very least it does. Or the better example would be like, what did the first version of the script look like? Did something get removed that would have made China look bad? Whether they, like, I watch a lot of old TV shows, like even Firefly, like has like talks about China, and you'll notice old TV shows mention China a hell of a lot more than modern TV shows if it's talking about a foreign power in a negative way.
To the extent that this rumor is true, it just shows that, you know, people know the power that media has over our brains and our opinions and taste making, but I don't think it is what they're making it out to be. But From another perspective, Michelle Yeoh is trying to frame Janet Yang, president of the Academy, for running a racist institution.
Well, yes. What could be more racist than getting nominated for Best Actress at the Oscars?
Michelle Yeoh and other people involved in Everything Everywhere All at Once have won so many awards for this movie, but it's never enough.
Nope.
It's never enough recognition because they're like maladjusted narcissists. Michelle Yeoh posted this screenshot of a Vogue article in one of her Instagram carousels, and she had to delete the whole post because it's against Academy rules.
Yep.
Here's what it said. Detractors would say that Cate Blanchett's performance is the stronger performance. The acting veteran is indisputably incredible as the prolific conductor Lydia Tarr. But it should be noted that she already has 2 Oscars for Best Supporting Actress for The Aviator in 2005 and Best Actress for Blue Jasmine in 2014. A third would perhaps confirm her status as an industry titan, but considering her expansive and unparalleled body of work, are we still in need of yet more confirmation? Meanwhile, for Yeoh, an Oscar would be life-changing.
It would absolutely not be life-changing.
Her name would forever be preceded by the phrase Academy Award winner, and it should result in her getting meatier parts after a decade of being criminally underused in Hollywood.
All it proves is that it really has nothing to do with meritocracy or actual talent.
If you hate Hollywood so much, then go work in China.
Yeah.
Legitimately, somewhere where, you know, they won't be so microaggressive towards you.
But it just proves that they don't care about who's actually the best performer. They care about what the social implications of winning the award are.
Yeah, shocking that the award ceremony itself is a performance.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. So they're saying, like, look, yeah, it would be great, but look, she's already won one. Like, there's a guy who used to show up to, like, okay, he was so good at competing, right? He was so good that eventually he would go to these contests, and they just wouldn't count him anymore because he was so much better than everyone that it just didn't make any sense to, like, just let him. He was a pro and everyone else competing was kind of an amateur.
I mean, they should probably take a similar approach when dudes are in women's competitions.
Like give them like a first place trophy, but put them off to the side, but just don't announce that it's like not actually first place. Like, okay, yeah, you won, but then why am I over here? Why is there 3 people on that podium too? Oh, I don't know. And then just don't explain it to them.
Yeah.
So they don't care about who's actually best. They don't care about who actually should win the award because it's not about winning awards anymore.
Michelle Yeoh obviously posted this to be a crybaby.
Yep.
And to imply that if a white woman of a similar stature in Hollywood wins this award against her, then it's because of structural racism. And, you know, it's not even always about merits. Sometimes it's just like random chance and like people's intuition that leads them to vote a certain way.
Yeah.
You can't blame that on racism if you're intellectually honest.
They talk about that, like maybe the start of this was like when they finally gave Leonardo DiCaprio the Oscar for The Revenant, when clearly he should have won for Wolf of Wall Street. And they're like, oh, look at, he filmed this movie in 9. Like there's a comedy bit, like a stand-up comedian who talks about, he's like, oh, he filmed the movie for 9 months. He lost 35 pounds. He's like, that's great, but maybe you should win the award because like you're the best person for the job. Yeah. I think you seriously because he made like $20 million for that movie. He's like, I think you seriously underestimate what I would do to myself for $20 million. I would get down to 35 pounds for $20 million. Like, but they didn't give Leonardo DiCaprio the Oscar for The Revenant because he was the best performer that year. They gave it to him because it became a thing about how every year he would be nominated and then he wouldn't win. So that started dominating the narrative anytime he was nominated for that award. And the moment that you make some type of exception and don't give it to the best performer, but give it to somebody else for weird socio-political reasons, you kind of prove everything, your entire premise of your award show to be false.
Did they give Will Smith an award the night he assaulted Chris Rock?
Yes, he did. He won Best Actor. And then gave a speech about it, too.
Yeah, and everyone was like awkwardly, people in the crowd were like, I guess I just play along.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and they had no idea what to do with it. And like, to be fair, he probably should have just not gone out there.
Yeah, you strip that. Yeah. You strip him. You kick him out of the building and strip him of his award if you assault somebody on stage. I mean, geez, it's crazy that they would give him that kind of. It's his turn.
I mean, I didn't think I don't think he deserved to like go to jail or.
If Chris wanted to press charges,
he's like
take it to him. Did he hit him on stage?
Well, now he's like Chris Rock is like actually that's funny because Chris Rock is like speaking out about this like right now.
His new comedy set. Have you guys talked about it?
Yeah, and no, like I mean it's come up, but basically some people were saying he goes too far on it, and other
Does
people
he strike Will in the face? Because that's not far enough.
But apparently Will Smith was trying to convince Chris Rock and other black actors to boycott the Oscars that year before this happened on stage.
Of Jada.
Yeah, very
Jada
likely.
Pinkett Smith, who I've said this off the show, but I'll say it again, is exactly like the archetype of that wife who thinks that you're never making enough money at the office.
Bob at the office got another raise.
Well, I heard that your coworker, Bob, he got a raise, and now his wife, Linda, is going to the salon more often than I am. And
he's like, baby, I want you to go to the salon more often. She's like, well, we can't afford it right now.
Maybe you should stage a boycott. So now Will Smith, at the behest of Jada, decided, to stage a boycott of the Oscars.
Well, so not only did they not boycott...
And they boycotted him.
But not only did they not boycott it last year, also they're having Donnie Yen this year, and Donnie Yen is in trouble for wearing blackface many years ago.
No way.
There it is.
The Chinese national who wanted to lecture Westerners on how racist and exclusive they are.
Yep.
Is actually guilty of racism
Shocking.
and racial stereotyping.
It says...
Who could have seen that coming?
It says, I can see the Academy thinking it would be so cool to accent wins by Asians, Asian Americans by having one of their own present the Oscar. But Donnie Yen is not just pro-Beijing at Hong Kong's expense, but the U.S.'s as well. So it's stupid by choice. And then somebody includes the photos down here.
So one of them, he's in blackface. And then on the other one, he's wearing like a bindi and a turban. So he's like doing like an Indian face.
It's giving Trudeau. It's giving Trudeau vibes.
It definitely is giving Trudeau
from those photos. Remember those photos?
I mean, look, it's almost like the preachy celebrities are compensating for something in their past every single time.
I wonder if a lot of them like wake up every day just terrified to check the news alerts to see like what's being said about them that day because they're worried about like eventually like everyone who was a celebrity in like in the early 2000s probably has something awful.
Especially if you're from China. Yeah. China is of course racist against black people.
Blackface was like 1915 Sambo like caricature makeup paint where they'd put like red lips, literally a black makeup on their face, and then they'd act like idiots on stage. Just having like paint on your skin is not necessarily blackface. So I don't want like
I'm
Robert Downey Jr.
only holding him to the standards that he's holding the rest of us to.
It's true, but if
exactly. I would if he had made no other comments about any of this, it's like whatever. It's part of his past. But we're holding him accountable.
So you said like Robert Downey Jr. did the same thing.
Yeah, but it wasn't blackface.
Sure.
Just because he painted his face black doesn't mean it's blackface in the sense of what blackface is, which is the insult of black people. Like he was playing a character that was in black makeup.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was like, I don't want to demonize painting your face.
We understand the distinction. People at the Academy of the Oscars do not recognize any such distinction, and they will preach to the rest of society from their ivory tower in Hollywood about racism.
Yeah, Joshua French
says... But at the same time, they're guilty of it.
Joshua French says, why does it matter? People are too soft and get offended too easily. Nobody here is offended. We're holding Donnie Yen to the same standards that he's holding everyone else to, which is absurd because he wants to complain.
A kung fu master is mad that he has been racially stereotyped as an Asian in John Wick 4. Yeah. Forced them to change the script and his wardrobe as a result.
Yeah. You fire people like that. That's insane.
Well, they didn't. They appeased him.
They appeased him. Well,
and he bragged about it afterwards and still brought it up as a way to put them down.
That was the part that upset Phil the most, right? It wasn't that they change it, it's that they change it and then he still called them out for it in the press.
It's ridiculous.
That's insane.
His name in the movie was supposed to be Shang or Chang or something, and then he made them change it to Kane. And at first, he also had a wardrobe that was more stereotypically Asian in his estimation. Yeah. They westernized his look at his behest.
I've never heard of this guy until today. Who is he? Is he like famous or something?
He does a lot of Hong Kong-based movies. Okay, but he's pro Xi Jinping. Like, so
people are wanting him banned from the Oscars as well because of his pro-CCP sympathies. Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen.
No, that won't happen. That's going to be fine.
But yeah,
they'll have no problem allowing him to.
I'm holding him to the standards that he claims to uphold.
Yep. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.